I was recently invited by the WA chapter of Exercise and Sports Science Australia to speak at the WA State Symposium to a bunch of exercise physiologists about the business of exercise physiology. For those who missed it, here is a shortened version of my presentation. I'd like to tell you the story of two people. I'd like to tell you the story of Susan and the story of Linda. Susan and Linda are actually the same person, but they don't know it. Susan and Linda were born in the same city. They were both born in Perth. They went to school 5 kilometres from each other. But as far as I know and as far as they know, Susan and Linda had never met. And I'd like to use the parallel stories of Susan and Linda to talk to you about the business of exercise physiology. So they were born in the same city. They went to the same school. They both turned 50 and they were both scared about the future. They'd spent the last 20 years giving to their kids. They hadn't had any time for themselves. They weren't looking after themselves. They weren't eating right. They weren't exercising right. They both had mums who'd just been diagnosed with chronic disease and they were terrified. They were terrified that that would be their future. And 15 years ago, Susan and Linda, they came to see me. They came to see me independently. Two people whose lives had run in parallel for 50 years. And they came to see me because they were scared and they needed help. They were uncertain about the future, but the one thing they were certain about, they were certain that they needed help. And they came to me for that help. On that first day that I saw them, they both deadlifted 30 kilos and their parallel storylines continued. After they deadlifted 30 kilos, they turned to me and they said, I'd love to one day be able to deadlift my body weight. And they both weighed about 70 kilos. I'd love to be able to one day deadlift 70 kilos. But then things started to change. And before I tell you how their parallel storylines violently got torn apart, there's a question that you need to consider. You need to consider the question of what it is that you sell, what it is that exercise physiologists sell. And normally if I ask people that question, I'll ask a new grad that question, someone who's just qualified, they've just come out of uni, and they'll say something like, we sell exercise physiology, or we sell exercise rehabilitation, or we sell exercise sessions or fitness. And then you go back to those same people a couple of years later and you say to them, what do you sell? And they'll say, I'm onto you this time. I know that we don't sell a product, a service. What we sell is a result. We sell bigger muscles or improved functioning of the pancreas or more dense bones. That's what we sell. We sell an outcome. But I would take this a step further. And to understand this step further, we need to go back to this story of Susan and Linda. Remember, they both deadlifted 30 kilos and they both told me that they wanted to deadlift 70 so they could lift themselves off the ground. 12 weeks later, Susan and Linda had been training with me. 12 weeks later, Susan deadlifted 70 kilos. She'd achieved this goal that she had. Linda had only deadlifted 50 kilos. But there's a big difference. And that difference is what split their storylines in two. And to understand that, we need to come back to what you sell. Remember, it's not exercise. It's not an outcome. What you sell is an experience. You sell an experience to people. And to understand why Susan and Linda's storylines diverged so much, we have to understand this experience. So Susan, who deadlifted the 70 kilos, she had achieved her outcome. She had achieved the outcome she was looking for. She deadlifted 70 kilos. But every time she came in to train, to exercise, she came in with her headphones in. She didn't say hello to anyone. Therefore, no one said hello to her. We brought out a t-shirt with our logo on it. She didn't buy the t-shirt. We had our Christmas party. She didn't come to the Christmas party. She hadn't had an experience. Linda, on the other hand, and remember, Linda had gone from 30 kilos to 50, so she'd improved. She was doing amazingly, but she hadn't reached this 70 kilo goal. She hadn't reached this outcome she was looking for. However, Linda bought the t-shirt. Linda engaged with people. At the end of her session every week, she would go with the girls for a latte down the local cafe. And Linda went to the Christmas party. She was the first person on the dance floor and she was teaching the 20-year-olds how to shot tequila. The difference was in the experience. Fast forward 15 years later, And Linda and I recently celebrated our 15-year anniversary with her as a client. She was at our wedding. She's an honorary nana to our 2 kids. And all because we delivered Linda an experience, not an outcome. The experience is key. And if you can deliver an experience, it does 2 things. Firstly, it increases the amount of time that someone is going to be working with you so you can have a greater impact on their health. And secondly, it increases the amount of time people will be working with you, which can have a more positive impact on your business. So there are 5 things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how to build a business that not only helps Linda, but a business that helps you and your life. I want to talk about why it's important to be the best in the country at something. I want to talk about how you can't help Linda if you're also trying to help Luke. I want to talk about how to attract Linda and people like Linda to your business in the first place, and about how to give Linda an experience that will blow her socks off. So let's start with designing your life. Here's the mistake I see people make when they come to me for business mentorship. They come to me because they want to grow their business, because they want to improve, to scale their business. But in reality, a business exists to support your life, and everyone has it backwards. Everyone builds the business, and then whatever is left over, be it financial or time or any resources that we can talk about, whatever is left over at the end of being a business person, at the end of being a career-driven professional, whatever is left, they use to live their life. And that is completely backwards. So here's what you need to do. You need to design a life that you want to live, a life that you would be ecstatic to live. And then, and only then, build a business that is going to support that life, instead of doing it the other way around. Because otherwise you get to 65, you wonder what you've done with the last 4.5 decades of your life, and you feel like you've wasted a good chunk of it. So what does a perfect day look like? A perfect week, a month, a year? What is the perfect life for you to live? Work out what that is. Work out how much money that's going to cost you and how much time you need to be able to live that. Then and only then can you build a business which is going to support that. And you do that through KPIs, key performance indicators. What are the key numbers in your business that you need to hit? How many clients? How many hours of work? What is your hourly rate? Work backwards from your life, identify the key performance indicators in your business, and only then can you build a business that supports your lifestyle. As soon as you've designed the business, you need to identify your USP, your unique selling proposition. Here's how you need to think about this. You need to come up with a statement. I am the best in Australia at ... whatever that may happen to be. You need to identify what it is that is unique to you. And here's the thing. You can either be 10 times better or you can be different. And it's much easier to be different than it is to be 10 times better. It's virtually impossible to be 10 times better than your competition, than your peers. However, you can be different. So first you need to identify and see what it is that you are different at. What do you do differently? Once you've identified what you do differently, then and only then can you start to develop a USP, your unique selling proposition. And you need to be able to complete the statement. I am the best in Australia at, insert here. So what is it that you are best at? Now, most people will say something like empathy. But if everyone says that they are the best at empathy, it means that every single person except one is incorrect. It needs to be something truly unique. And once you've found that unique thing, here's what you need to do. You need to make a list of 20 things, 20 pieces of supporting evidence that prove that, yes, I am the best in Australia at this thing. I'm the best exercise physiologist in Australia at whatever your unique selling proposition is. List those 20 things. What are those 20 actions you can take? And I'm not talking about poorly defined, subjective, nebulous things like I'm a great listener. I'm talking about things that you can put on a to-do list and tick them off as you go. What are those practical, tangible, objective items that you can tick off that someone will look at that list and say, yes, here is evidence that you are truly the best at this thing that you claim to be the best at. As soon as you've worked out what your unique selling proposition is, you need to work out who you're for. This is your avatar. So a good thought experiment here. Think about your favorite client. Think about that person that if you had 10 or 20 more of them, your business would be in great shape. That is your avatar. Now, a lot of people will say, but my business is for everyone. Everyone can benefit from what I do. And here's the problem with that. Some people like iced tea. Hot day and they love a nice, chilled, refreshing iced tea. Some people are the sort of people who like to have a full cooked breakfast and enjoy a cup of English breakfast tea. So you've got the iced tea people, you've got the English breakfast tea people. And if you look at that and say, well, we are for everyone, then the best idea would be to average those two things and serve lukewarm tea. And no one wants lukewarm tea. So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, choose who you're for. Are you providing to the iced tea people, or are you providing to the piping hot mug of tea people? Identify who you're for, because trying to help everyone does not work. Identify the demographic of this avatar, of this perfect client. How old are they? What gender are they? Where do they live? So you've got a good idea of who this person is. But more important than the demographic is the psychographic. What sort of people, what sort of person is your business for? And the statement that you will use here is, we are for the sort of person who ... For example, Range of Motion, my business. We are for the sort of person who needs an individualized and health-first approach to their exercise. And this may be an 8-year-old girl who has cerebral palsy who we want to help stand up from her chair for the first time. Or it may be an 87-year-old who has osteoporosis who we want to help stand up from her chair for the first time in 15 years. Although the demographic is very different, it's the psychographic that is key here. The psychographic is key. We are for the sort of person who has certain pain points. And these pain points are key. You should be listing 20 things, 20 different pain points that your avatar has. What keeps them up at night? What causes them anxiety? What makes them scared and terrified for the future? Once you've listed these 20 pain points, you need to come up with a statement, a single, succinct, simple statement, which solves all of their problems. You should be able to look down that list of 20 pain points that this avatar has. You should be able to look down this list and answer and address each of those in a single statement. This statement should be a perfect description of your business. The statement should be a description of what it is that you do. Now, if it's not a good description, one of two things has happened. Either you have built a business that doesn't solve people's problems, in which case you're in trouble and you need to change your business because you've come up with an idea instead of coming up with a solution. Or the second problem is your business is valid, but the avatar that you've put together, that target client, is not the person who needs those solutions that you offer, who's not the person who needs that unique solution to their problems. And what you'll find is where someone's unique selling proposition and the perfect solution to someone's problems, where those two things overlap, that thin slither, where those two circles overlap, that is your business. And remember, an idea is not enough. You cannot build a business around an idea. You build a business around the intersection of a unique selling proposition and the solution to people's problems. Let's talk about marketing. So how do you get people to come to your business in the first place? 3 areas: content marketing, second area is documentation, and the third is referrals. First, content marketing. Why do we do it? We do it to build reputation. This is putting educational, informational content out into the world through social media, through email, through all your channels. You put this information out into the world, and when people think of a certain problem they have, and they're thinking about who to reach out to get solutions to this problem, you are the person who comes to mind. That's why we need to content market. What should we be creating content about? Those 20 pain points of your avatar that we've already discussed. If you can address each of those pain points, you solve the problems of your clients, you are well on your way to positioning yourself as the expert. And how? How do you create content? Well, you take one of these pain points, the first one on your list, and you write an article about it, which goes on Facebook and LinkedIn and your Google My Business page and anywhere else that written content goes. Then you take that written article, that becomes a script, maybe for a podcast. It becomes a short form podcast. It also becomes a script for a video. You pick up your phone and you record yourself for 60 seconds talking about the key points in that article. And that becomes a reel for on Instagram or Facebook, or it becomes a YouTube short. So now you're creating video content. Then you take the key topics, you turn it into a carousel image, a set of images, an infographic maybe, that allows you to use a visual medium, which again is going to go out through your social media channels. And then all of that information gets compiled into a newsletter. So you're sending out a newsletter to your network, and the newsletter to your network contains the visual, the written, the audio, the video-based, the text-based. It is all there. So that's your content marketing. Let's move to documentation. Everyone wants to know what is happening in the lives of people around them. That's what documentation is. People want to know what's happening in your business. They want to peer through the window and see what's going on. So tell the success stories of your clients. Tell the stories of people who are already in your business. And here are the key things you need to include in these stories. You need to show people who look just like the people who you're trying to attract, your target avatar. You need to show them trying to overcome a problem using your service. You need to show them overcoming this problem and how you do that. And importantly, you need to show them having a good time while doing all these things. If you can do those 4 things and tell the stories, you will attract more people just like them to your business. The third pillar of marketing is referrals. How can you incentivize people to make referrals to your business? Now, there are multiple strategies, but one that I found works really well with a lot of the business people that I mentor is having a collection of charities. And when someone makes a referral to your business, they get to choose which charity they would like to support. And to say thank you, you make a donation on their behalf to this chosen charity. Everyone wins. The charity, the person who's made the referral, the person who's been referred because they get to work with you, and you win because you have more impact on the world and your business is improving as a result. So let's talk about what we've covered so far. We start by working out what we want in our life and therefore what we want our business to look like. And remember, our business exists to make our life better, not just the lives of our clients. We've identified who we are. That is our avatar. We've identified why our avatar comes to see us and keeps coming back. That's our unique selling proposition. And we've spoken about how to attract that avatar to our business through those 3 key marketing pillars. But there's something we're missing, and this is the important thing. And this is why Linda stayed at the business and why Susan left. This is the experience. Experience is what we sell. Experience is key. And there are 2 experiences that we can talk about. Firstly, there is the micro experience. The micro experience is like when you walk into Subway. You walk into Subway to order yourself a footlong sandwich. You walk in and the process is the same every time. You choose your bread. You choose your meat. You choose your salads. What sauces do you want? Salt and pepper, drink, cookies. It's the same process every time, no matter which Subway you go to. Design your micro experience. It is the moment someone steps out of their car in your car park until the moment they step back in their car. Design that experience. But I want to talk more today about the macro experience. This is the long-term journey that your clients are going on. You should be outlining a chronological 10-year journey, this 10-year macro experience, because that is what we're selling. That's what keeps people coming back. And that's why Linda stayed as a client and why Susan didn't stay as a client. There are certain things you have to do. So as exercise physiologists, we know we have to have certain indemnity forms that are signed up front. We know we need to get their next of kin and their personal information. This is the skeleton of that experience. And that's where most people stop, at the compulsory, legally required elements of this journey. But how can you make this special? How can we look at examples of where the basic skeleton has been made special? Let's look at a company like Virgin. And Virgin has hundreds, thousands of businesses in different areas. And Richard Branson is driving these businesses, and he's driving an interesting skeleton. Not just these are the things you have to do, but let's do these things with interest. For example, you get on a Virgin flight, and it is a requirement, a skeletal requirement, that a pre-flight safety video is shown. However, what Virgin does is they do something out of the box. Maybe it's Richard Branson himself talking you through this safety briefing and he's not wearing any pants. It's different. It's something unusual. Yes, it's a legal requirement to do this thing, but it doesn't stipulate how that thing needs to be done. Make the mundane moments special. On the topic of moments, a great book, The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. Read this book. It talks about peaks of experience, and it talks about one of the highest rating hotels in the United States. And it's hardly even a hotel. It's a 3-star motel. And yet this 3-star, very average motel has one of the highest ratings on TripAdvisor in the entire country. And the reason is they offer peak experiences. So at the back of this motel, there is a swimming pool. It's not amazing. It's not big. It's a little bit green, and there's always a couple of dead bugs on the bottom of the pool. That's not what gets them these amazing reviews on TripAdvisor. What gets them the amazing reviews is what's next to the pool. What's next to the pool is a phone, a red telephone on the wall. And at any time during their stay, The kids who are staying at this hotel, this motel, can walk up to this phone, they can pick it up, and a voice on the end of the phone will say, "Popsicle hotline, what can I get you?" And the kids will say, "I want a raspberry popsicle, please." And they hang up. And moments later, from her door at the end of the pool, a butler appears in a full three-piece suit, and he's got a silver cloche, and he walks up to this kid and he takes the lid off this cloche and says, "Sir, your raspberry popsicle." Now what? It costs them maybe 7 cents to do that, to create that experience. But the kids love it. And by association, their parents love it. And they're straight onto TripAdvisor giving this stay, this experience, because in the end, that's what they're selling, amazing reviews. What can you do? Where can you give amazing reviews in your business? How can you get these reviews? How can you create an experience with these peaks of experience? Because people don't remember the green pool. They remember those peaks and troughs of experience. How can you award milestones and how can you gamify the process? Firstly, the milestones. Some of the businesses I've worked with, I know a business that gives their clients a pair of custom shoes in their favorite colors with their name embroidered on them, training shoes at their 5-year anniversary. Another business I know takes their clients skydiving on their 10-year anniversary. These are remarkable. Literally, people remark about these. Someone says to them, "Hey, what did you do on the weekend?" "My gym took me skydiving." It's incredible. And if people are talking about these things, they become a marketing tool for you. One of my favorite stories, a business that I worked with, he basically ran an exercise physiology style boot camp. People would turn up at this oval. There was a series of stations and clients would work their way around these stations. If it was someone's birthday, he would wheel out this strange brass contraption, something like a bicycle welded to a Anzac biscuit bowl. And no one knew what this was. And he'd wheel this in, as one of the stations on this circuit. And next to it, he'd put a liter of milk, a liter of cream, a kilo of sugar, and a bottle of vanilla essence. And he'd pour these into this bowl on top of this bike. And what would happen is, if it was someone's birthday, by the time they got round to that station, it was effectively an arm crank. They would hold these pedals in their hands and they would churn and churn and churn. And if everyone worked hard enough, by the end of that half-hour circuit, these ingredients would have turned to ice cream. This was an antique ice cream churner. And on people's birthdays, if they worked hard enough, by the end of that 30 minutes, everyone would take a bowl and they would scoop this ice cream out of this antique ice cream churner and they would celebrate that person's birthday. Now, that is a moment, because you can guarantee that if someone said to that person, "How was your birthday?" that is the thing they are going to talk about. Again, it is remarkable. What can you do to create remarkable moments in the experience that your clients have? Ask yourself, where is the biggest leak in this process? If you can look at this 10-year journey, if there is a point where you are losing clients, where they're dropping away, all it tells you is not that it's too expensive, not that you're too far away, not that they don't have time. What it's telling you is that the experience is not good enough. If you have a hose pipe and the water coming out of the end is at a trickle, you look along the length of that hose pipe and you first find the biggest leak and you fix it. And then the trickle turns into a little bit more of a stream. And then you look along the pipe again. You look for the biggest leak and you fix it. And that stream becomes stronger and stronger. This is how you know what to work on in your business. You work on the things, on the areas, on the places in that experience where you're losing the most clients. Okay, so let's talk about the 5 things that we've touched on. Start by designing your life, then build a business to give you that life. Then work out what you want to be best at. Become so good that they can't ignore you. Third, work out who you are for, who is your avatar, and then solve the 20 problems of your avatar. Then market, but market with an approach that is going to improve your long-term retention of clients. We're not looking to make people fit by next Tuesday. We're trying to make people fit by their 80th birthday. We're talking a long-term approach. And finally, maximize the experience, because ultimately the experience is what gets people to you. It's what keeps people there, and it's what takes them to that 10-year anniversary that we are aiming to optimize. If you're interested in this type of content, I've recently partnered with Exercise and Sports Science Australia to launch the Business of Exercise Physiology online course. Basically an audio course, almost like a series of 18 podcast episodes that talk about how to build a very successful exercise physiology business. Check that out on the ESSA website. And if you do have any questions, feel free to send them through to me. My email is dan@rangeofmotion.net.au.